But like I said in the trading room today, we've got August behind us, and now we're into the unofficial start of fall. The volumes will return, and just to kind of set up the next 2 months, we're going to talk more and more of these edge zones as we go through these meetings and stuff like that. But also, you have tax reform, debt ceiling, all that comes to a head at the end of this month. North Korea hasn't gone away. Continue to tell people about that. It got quiet for a while. We had a relief rally, and then all of a sudden over the weekend, he's back to it. There's going to be more headlines, and when they happen during the trading session, I want people to be able to take advantage of it. You know, if we were open the last two incidences from North Korea, the missile over Japan, we were closed, and then over the Labor Day weekend, his tests of those underground bombs. I mean, so all of this stuff happened when the markets were closed, and we gapped open lower both times. That's price action that's going to happen during the session. We're going to break 10 or 15 handles and maybe more during the session if this stuff happens during the session. Be aware of it. I don't care what kind of support levels you have and the great plans you have. It all goes, you know where, when something that fundamentally geopolitically driven comes into the market and influences it the way it has. Now, the market keeps rebounding from all these instances or stories as they surface, but there will be a point that if this thing comes to a head that they won't. They'll stay under pressure. I don't know if people, I think there's a probability factor that there won't be military conflict. That's a high probability that it won't happen. That's why it gets so bearish when there's moments that it might happen, right? Because it shouldn't happen from a probability standpoint. There's too many countries that would that do not want it to happen, including us. So him and them aside, let's get back into these edge zones. I touched on it real briefly in the trading room today, and I've touched on it before. I'm going to show some examples and go through it, and then I encourage people to go through it on their own with even the levels they use. Doesn't have to be an edge zone. It could be a great level that you like, that you find that's really good. But I'm going to tell a story as old boyfriends, old girlfriends. Give me 1 second. Now there's some support coming in here before I get into that story. At 57.5, there was an air pocket that well, we put out these 6175s on this move lower, right? And then they got through it just momentarily or just moments ago and put out some resistance, but they're probably going to stop this 57.5 area on a 4 PNF, okay? So let's get back to old boyfriends, old girlfriends. What does it mean? I think the market's all about relationships. How markets relate to each other, how markets relate to who's long, who's short, trap traders. It's all what creates good support and good resistance. As everybody has learned going through the course, and maybe even before you met me, great support, great resistance is defined by people being trapped the other way. No different in relationships. You kind of get comfortable with someone and you feel real good. She gets what, you buy her everything she wants and everything is happy, but then you turn into a you know what. And the next thing you know, you're aggravated. She doesn't like you, probably for good reason, knowing a lot of you guys in here, and you break up. She moves away. The beginning of what could be support. Why? Because let's try to get back together, try to work this out, and you get back together with the guy, and you come back in, and then you break up again. And you might do this a few times. You might go back to what you're used to a few times, even though you're not happy. And eventually, you go back to where you were used to, and finally you get over them and you go through and you're done with them. You might come back and think of getting back together again, and you say, no, it ain't going to work. And you see this pattern, how it happens, how it works. Do you see how you get the rotation of this relationship to be? It was great. It wasn't so good. We broke up. Let's try to get back together. No, let's try to get back together. Forget about it. He's a jerk. You come back. Should I do it? Should I do it? No. I'm resistant to that relationship, and you move lower. What was good support is now good resistance for the same reason. What used to say, yeah, they'll get back together because they have. The more they get back together, the less chance they're going to stay together. And finally, I get over them. I'll never go back. That's the basis of why old supports new resistance and vice versa. And I think because I told it this way, you'll remember it. That's why I tell these stories. Old support, new resistance. Now let's go to the charts. Old support, we had a couple rotations off the 57.5. We're pretty bearish in today's session. 57.5 should be overhead resistance. Let's look at some live charts. The NASDAQ likes to do this a lot. Once it gets through what was good support, it usually acts as good resistance and vice versa. Now, we're on an up day or a down day today, and let's look at the opposite for a second. We're on a down day, and we know that at this point. But this was good resistance that was working for a while. They blast through it. They come back a couple times close enough. Remember, it's the NASDAQ. They come back close enough. And if I just go, if I just go this way a little bit, you could see how this 51.5 area, old resistance, is decent support until it's not. It even chops around it for a while. And it's a down day, and yet it's using old resistance as new support. And this just happened about a half hour ago. All right. You could see here, good support in here. They blast through it, lets out a little red edge zone, and look at the good resistance it is until it's not. They hover below it for a while, even chop around it, go lower. All right. Good example. Here's another one where it doesn't work, but you don't get killed. This resistance in here gets taken out, and yet it holds as pretty good support until it doesn't. And I say pretty good support where it doesn't just run right through you and make you feel like you just are getting laughed at if you were in a pit trading on a floor, you know? Here's great support that gets taken out, and right in the middle of it, it works as good resistance right in the middle. Remember, these are one tick areas in the NASDAQ, which is nothing. Right here is 55.50 or something. Here, I'll do it this way. Look at the right side of my screen. I'll put in some horizontal lines. When these two edge zones get taken out, this area in between these two orange lines is resistance. It's only a 2.5 points. That's nothing in the NASDAQ. Chops in and out of it and then rotates out as overhead resistance. Let's remove these two and go back. Let's just look, because I don't want to take images and show you perfect, instances of it working. We just look at this stuff. I mean, here they I see one where it just pops through. Here, gets through resistance or support finally, right? And we'll put a line here on 72 even, and it gets back up here. Well, never really gets back up there, holds below it. So that wasn't a great example because it never got back up that high. Oh shoot, I went back too far. Let's see this one. Green support gets taken out pretty quickly, and the market never gets back up there. It's a pretty weak session. We know that. So let's go back a little bit more. Let's see a big green level getting taken out. Here we go, right here, 72. We already know that they didn't even get up that high. Here, this one gets taken out, comes back up, chops underneath it before releasing lower. Here's one that doesn't work that well, but you don't get killed. Hey, I'm going to open up your mic and explain that, Dave, in a second, if you don't mind. Here's a good support area that gets taken out, doesn't work. And where does it come and stop? Right there, and rotates down about 4 or 5 handles before coming back. So while it didn't work, you had a little head start if you're consistent playing this. I wouldn't say resistance got taken out here because it comes, there's a few ticks through it, even though it closed it off. I mean, here's one where it comes in, takes out this resistance finally, wham, and between here and here is going to be support, and it is. I mean, this is only a 3-panel area. It comes down to the tick and rallies up a few times. This is to the tick where it's not only old resistance, new support, but it's red to green officially, both unofficially and officially. First of all, do we all understand the old support, new resistance concept? Old support, new resistance. And hopefully, man, look at this thing. Let's turn this into a trading room session, this meeting. This market is just falling out of bed. It doesn't like these headwinds. I don't know if anything new came out. It's just oil hasn't given up too much of its strength. It's just the further we go down, the further we go down. Here, 57.5. They didn't get up quite that high, but old support, new resistance, got within a few ticks and then rotate back down, going down to our 53.75 area, or no, 54 quarter area. That's this green zone in here. Gets down, comes up, gets down, comes up, probably go to 56.5. $53.5, 53. These are good areas too. Now here's an interesting spot where old resistance, it didn't blast through that much, but if you're looking to get long, you got a couple green edge zones. They just took out resistance. They could do what it just did and go where? You got to target 25.5. You're not seeing too many reds get destroyed because it's a pretty bearish move here. It takes out resistance here and it rotates and uses 51 halves a while before it would take you out as a loser. On even a real down session and a negative, you don't have to get destroyed. That's this instance right here. Oh, we already talked about those two. Takes it out, comes back down. Old resistance in there, new support until it isn't. Same thing in here. It kind of takes these reds out. This is kind of tight though. You want to see it just blast. Where the heck am I going here? You want to see it just blast out here. I'll tell you this area right in here, all right, 58 quarter to 60. They blast through these two resistance areas. Watch what happens. I don't even know that this happened for sure. Watch what happens when it gets back down to this level. I'm just going to stay in between these two orange lines. Watch what happens. Look at that. Comes in there. You could even say came in there once in here. A little shy of it. Here, here, here. Holds it. Keeps it just, it's good support even if it's not. What's good support when it's not? When I say that, that means you could actually make money and it didn't work. You could make money and it didn't work. The move from right here to here is 4 points. That's 16 ticks. If you get a 16 tick head start and you lose money on the trade, you're one of those old boyfriends from the previous slide. She shouldn't go back with you. And I just put that up because this was a moment where two levels got taken out. I don't want everybody to make this their trade, so don't take me the wrong way. I want some people to make this their go-to trade. I don't know how many. It all has to make sense to you. I want people to have this be their go-to trade. You know, they don't have to trade support resistance. They trade old support resistance. You know, right in here is going to be good resistance. Why? Because of the triple stack red? No, because yes, and because it went through this green pretty quickly. All right, let's see. This is around 72 to 73.5. Do you get your face ripped off? No. Does it work great? It does round off below it before not working. And I won't defend and say, well, you shouldn't have played it here because sold it here because it coiled underneath. And I won't defend it. I'll say it didn't work, but it didn't just blast right through you either. I'm just trying to go back several, like, okay, here. Well, I already see that works, but you could see how that's old resistance and then how this orange line becomes new support and works really well for several rotations before it doesn't. Now let's do this. Watch this. We're going to take this into training mode. How do we do that? I'm not going to get into how we do that, but I'm going to show you, man, NASDAQ weak again. Training mode, it brings up this box, and we're going to go to start, which just takes you as far back that I don't even know what happened. Okay. Resistance up in here, support down in here. It holds. Let's just wait for it not to hold. Let's wait for good resistance to get taken out or good support to get taken out. Nothing. Ooh, good support gets taken out in here eventually. Should be resistance at 77. Let's mark it. Then this happened. Never even got back up to this level. So you got good support in here, but this got taken out for one reason. It gapped open lower. All right. So that's not a great example. Let's go back further. Let's get rid of this because the gap screwed that up. All right. Look at this. This support here, green. Just follow my cursor, right? I'm going to draw a line across. This green gets taken out all in here. All right. Do I have to put a pen on it? All right, I'll put a pen on it for those an older crowd in here. All in here is support. Well, it gets taken out right there, doesn't it? It gets taken out right there. Market comes down. Man, let's put a highlighter on it. I'm getting old with you guys because I can't see my own drawings. No matter how old I get, I'll still be younger than most of you, though. All right, so good support comes down. What does it look at? Great resistance in here for nice rotations back lower. I don't even care what it did after this. You would have made money in here regardless of what it does after. Well, let's get rid of these orange lines. I'm just looking at old support or old resistance getting smoked and then finding the move back. I bet this area works. These two orange lines. Look at that. Why these two orange lines? Because look at all this resistance getting taken out. on this bar right there, right? See it get taken out? Sure, it rotates a little bit and goes up, but if you draw this across, and you got a green edge zone in there also, but if you draw this across, do you see how this would be an edge? Who the hell else talks to not just about old support? That's a saying that's been around forever, but actually having edge zones or thin spots, same concept, to recognize and identify the zones, and then finding subsequent moves back to them. So look in between these two oranges, what happens? The market comes right in here and rallies out. The market comes right in here and rallies out. The market comes right in here and rallies out. You can't make that stuff up. The market rallies up to 56.5 and rotates back down. $54.25. That was an edge zone on the unfiltered chart, and it's the edge zone on the filtered chart. If you look down in here, 53 even. Oh, that one just popped. But 53.5 was from a previous move on the way up, okay? And 50, as I had it written down, and 54.25 and 53.5. So you see this green one on the filter, and you see 54.25 was on the 12 here, not the 12, the 4 PNF right there. See it? Held as a good target. Even 57.5, which was a good target and didn't hold, held for a couple rotations. Any questions about the concept? Old boyfriend, old girlfriend. And it's just like in life, in real life. How do you have a better relationship with your spouse? The same as you have with your trading account. Admit when you're wrong. Okay? Admit when you're wrong. And it's okay to be wrong. And it's okay to make mistakes as long as you admit that you made them. Should we add a track 7? Hey, David, are you here still? Could you can I open up your mic to elaborate on what you mentioned, unless you're in something? All right, let me open up Texas Dave's mic. All right. David, how are you?
Good morning. Doing well. How about you?
Doing good, man. Good to hear. How's everybody in Texas? Doing better?
Well, in our part of the world, we're doing pretty well, except for the gas shortages. Other than that, our buddies in Houston are not faring quite as well, but I think they'll get their stuff together because they're Texans and they're good at that.
They are. They are. There's no. I've got newfound respect for that state. They're tough people down there. So.
Yeah, I want you to compare and contrast Katrina, post Katrina, and this event, and you can see the difference in the states. And I'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. All right. So NASDAQ. What were we saying? Double test level. So Dave says to me earlier, NASDAQ likes to do the 2-level retrace. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's not a 100% deal, but it seems to go. It likes to go farther than you expect it to, or than I expect it to. And so what I look for is, so you get a retrace to the edge of a consolidation, and it'll often go past it and go to the edge of the next consolidation, whichever direction it happens to be. So I was, it's I've started to look at these consolidations as domestic disputes with the NQ, and we all know you don't want to jump in the middle of a domestic dispute. So you're going to find the edge, find the edge of that where the consolidation is. But sometimes you got to wait for it to do. Oftentimes you have to wait for it to do too. So what I'm doing is you get to the edge of the consolidation and see how it reacts. And if the delta's not looking right, I just wait for it to go on through, go to the next one, and that's usually the place to go.
Can I show your screen, or do you not have?
Actually, I got a landscape guy working on some lights that's ringing the door. You
Okay.
can in a couple of minutes. Let me go talk to him and I'll come back.
All right. Well, bring him in and we'll ask him what he thinks about it too. Hey, look at this in the NASDAQ. We finally got through this green, red, red, red. What do you think is going to be resistance? You're damn right, 17 quarter. Let's watch it work. Green support, green support. They'll come in between here and rotate out. We'll watch it live. New lows, 12.5 in the NASDAQ. New lows, S&P's 53.50. They're trading North Korea and holding on to it. The yen's strong. The bonds are strong. They didn't quite get in the middle of these two reds, but they certainly used these reds put out, came into it, walked down. Next rotation, if it comes back up, will be 15 to 16.5, right where my cursor is.
I'm back with you, Anthony. Sorry about that. That timing was unfortunate.
That's all right. It worked. I mean, we had some content. Do you want to? Do you have an example you could show on a chart?
Sure. Got one on the screen right now.
All right. Let me see if this works. I got to make you presenter, I think. And I did. All right. Dave, you should have the option to share a screen. Pop up. There he goes. I like it.
Okay, are you looking at, let's make sure. Nice break.
Yeah. It's following through.
So can you see my mouse, my pointer here?
Yeah, crosshairs.
Yeah, so here's the example. So it comes up, so we come up to this prior level, trade down to new lows, come up to the prior level, and you think, okay, I can just short from there. Well, no, you can't. You're going to get to come back up to here. That's the double retrace that you get. And I could scroll back and do some more, but that's the one that's on the screen right now. And there's more of them all the time. So that's where you get hurt. You get up in there and think, oh, this is going to be it. And the place to see where I look for it is how the delta is reacting when it gets up to the level.
So the second test is usually going to be a squeeze a little further.
Yep.
A little higher.
Yeah, so you think about it. So you've got this consolidation here, and you should have stops on both ends because you've got guys that are short and that are long, and they're looking at the consolidation as a place to put stops. And so it makes perfect sense. Actually, if you look at this, head fake down, take these guys out, launch up, and then take the stops above up to here. And that is classic NASDAQ to trip the stops on both ends and then continue.
Yeah, they had to clear out the inventory, and you're on the backside of it. At least you recognize I could be on the backside of already shook out shorts, which means less buyers below. It came right back into that 11. So when you walked out, they slid through some support and then came back up to it quick at 14.5, 14.75, and then sold off hard. Came back to 11.12, sold off hard again. There's a better price action today than last week. Would you agree?
It would. Last week was pretty good for me too, but yeah, there's a little better movement today, although I haven't done anything for quite a while.
Well, now we've got, so they use that 53.5, 54 quarter as some good support. Then they jam it right now into 50, 51.5. This is turning into a reprice day, which means it's going to be on the news tonight as to the markets are down and they're pricing in tensions and a lot of other things. That's the kind of it's like the players are back at their desks post Labor Day. Took a while and now they're stepping all over it. Wow.
So I got a level right here, Anthony, 96.5, but that may be just a bump in the road. The bottom of the big volume that we're in is 88.25, so it makes sense to trade on down to 88.25, and if we're going to bounce, go from there.
All right, let me take the screen back, Dave. Oh shoot. I don't know what screen is showing now. There we go. There we go. You should go back to my screen here. So it danced through some pretty good support. Double stack. It came in here. If you guys are seeing my screen again?
Yes, we can see it.
We're going to call Bruce's the Texas two-step. We'll call that trade, Dave. Your trade.
There you go. I like it.
So look at this. Come into this two-stack. Come out. Come back through it. Through a little bit. They're holding these two for all intents and purposes until now. Right in here, between here and there, will be resistance. 50.5, 51.5. Now I'm talking the S&Ps. And the next double stack support is going to be 46.5, 46.75. And then on the filter, these were the 53 halves. This was some confluence at 51.5 with the unfilter. Holds, then doesn't. And then here's the other confluence here, 48.50. When I say confluence, is that the filter matches with the unfiltered. No, actually it didn't. There's nothing up here at 48.50. Right, 52, this area right in here. But this is a session that's repricing. We open up at, what do we open up? 63 quarter or something? 68.75 we open up. That's right. And they had to do a lot of work before they came out with direction below 65 and 63. And pretty much when it got through there, it was off to the races. The downside was the right side. There wasn't much disputing that. You know, as soon as it got, I think it was a couple moments in here, you know, it kind of had a long bar up, but where the stops came out through 63, 64, 65 really in here, created good upside resistance. Red kept coming back in, and then they melted away through 63. And they haven't looked back from 1045 Central on. Here's that move back up to old support, new resistance. Old support in here, new resistance in there. I tweeted that. They'd like me more. Well, not you guys. I don't think you guys could like me any better. If you like me any better, I have to start asking questions. Even if it doesn't work, it works. You know, even if it doesn't hold, you don't get your face ripped off. You get a little bit of a head start, comes back up, it'll test you, it'll rotate back down probably into this green area down in there. So you could start seeing structure. So Dave might have turned his mic off, but thanks again, David, for coming in and showing us that. I want to keep these sessions shorter, these Tuesday sessions, because I think the price action like we've had today and the markets are going to be a little busier because it's September, October we're moving into, coming out of the summer and everything. Man, I just want one person, maybe more than one, maybe a few, when the next North Korean news comes out, someone jump on it and could say, I made my month in a trade. That's what I'm trying to go for. We didn't necessarily have it in this move lower, but that's what I'm trying to get people to add to their toolbox. The ability to diligently react to bad news in the market, geopolitically, from a even just a political standpoint with tax reform, geopolitical standpoint with North Korea, and so on. So even though this old resistance or old support, new resistance doesn't work that well, it gave you a long time to take a little profit or get the hell out. And I'm just looking at someone, maybe a few, to run with creating this as maybe a setup that they like or a go-to setup that keeps them out of trouble. If they're having trouble qualifying support resistance, this is one that's a little bit more invisible to most of the rest of the market. The fact that when you have good support resistance and it doesn't work, it's sometimes more valuable. Anybody got questions? I'm going to end the recording for this session for guys watching it on tape delay.